Hey, how you doing? It's Frankie here. So I'm still on this feminine kick. This feminine energy kick. I'm still embodying what is more feminine than what I have been previously, if you will. And I've come across a few different others posts on like TikTok, and I've realized like the information that they have, you know, when you're scrolling and it's the photos and it's the faceless stuff, and it's sound advice, like, but the pictures are super uppity or super pink, and I mean they're feminine, so you know that it's for the feminine. But I realized that it's not, I mean, there, to a point there is, you know, dress what makes you feel good. But I don't feel like to be feminine, you have to be super posh. I don't believe that that's about the energy. I feel like that's a representation of what societal norms has more created than for a woman to actually be in her feminine energy. And again, we all have feminine and masculine energy. So if you think about it, because men also have feminine energy, and I'm not talking about the softer boys, I'm talking about even the manly men have feminine energy. So in reality, to be pink and posh and, you know, have your nails did and have your makeup prestige and always wearing super floofy dresses that's not all femininity. And I even had a realization through one of those videos that I watched, and it was like the micro steps for the modern day woman to bring in femininity, and it was saying something about being flexible. And I had the aha of, well, flexible is being able to adapt. And I've already been adapting. Like for a long time, I've adapted and I've just dealt with what was thrown at me. So it's not just being able to be flexible or be able to be adapting, but it's also having the boundaries. And I think this is where it's very intriguing to me, because there's no one way to do anything. And now that I'm like hyper fixated on this feminine energy and embodying it, I'm realizing, which I've noticed this before in other things, but there's really so many different pieces to the puzzle. Even whenever I started my spiritual journey, I like surface leveled everything, was trying to super fast go through everything and thought that I knew it all because I was coming across these videos and these 30-second clips of people saying, you know, all you have to do is this, all you have to do is that. And to an extent, like, those tips were good, but there was an underlying situation, at least with myself. And that was more to do with my self-worth and not even having a self-worth, or having very little of self-worth, let alone not creating boundaries and sticking to the boundaries. There's a whole bunch of different stuff. And so those base layers, I'm realizing actually go into so many different areas. I mean, even if you've been super feminine and you're wanting to get more into your masculine, like, you have to know that you're worth it. You have to be able to understand within yourself, like, the realization and the awareness. It's mostly the awareness of what you've been doing that could be tweaked to get you where you want to go. And I feel like I'm so generalized on this, but it's so true. Like, you can't build a house without having a strong, well, you can build a house, but to have a good, solid, sturdy house, you got to have a good foundation. You have to do the basics. And we've all heard of somebody who's bought in a house that's went up in within months and some super fast development. And you get in there and all the homeowners are finding where the builders have cut corners, and you know, it looked pretty for the first couple months, but then after that first year, everything's starting to deteriorate. maybe not even after that year. So if you think about that, within working internally on yourself and creating your new identity or reprogramming beliefs, I mean, it all kind of goes hand in hand, honestly, to really understand and to create a strong foundation and that love for yourself and the knowing and the awareness of yourself and not being afraid to deep dive in. I feel like that really has a big thing to do with growth, honestly. And I know for me, that's been the issue, is I have been so surface level in everything in my life, which, coming back to the femininity, is slowing down. And I think I was talking about this the other day. Like, whenever I first heard the term slow down, I cut out everything. I was meditating with plants for hours, which wasn't really a healthy meditation. For one, I was letting all the thoughts I was sticking. It was like a glue trap. It was like, ooh, if the thoughts are coming to me, then that's what I'm supposed to be focusing on. Where in real meditation, it's best to clear your mind. It's best to, as good as you can, just allow those thoughts to come through. They show up and then they float away. So for me, the surface level, super fast, always skimming through everything, as long as I had an idea of the basics, then I would push on. And that was in anything. Hair, I did spend more time in learning more of the fundamentals and mastering the craft. Maybe it's because I'm a Gemini and I get bored rather easily, but I honestly believe it has to do with my mentality. I would tell myself that I was bored, that, okay, you've got that figured out, so now it's time to move on to the next thing, without taking the time to be aware of where I could improve. What could I do to make it more fun? What could I do to make it a better situation? And I honestly believe, I know that this has been the situation even within moving every 5 years. I would get bored because I was just doing the same rotation of working different restaurants. Even the restaurants, I would get used to their format, to their menu, to the way that the customers would come in, and it would get boring. I'd make really good tips in the beginning because I'd be really focused on what I was doing, and then I would get bored and I was like, here we are again, just repeating the cycle. And I could tell, I noticed towards the end of places that I worked, the tips, they would come in, but I wasn't giving it the effort. So now that I'm aware of that, I'm a woman, and we've always had the feminine and the masculine energy. And even if you are a man, we've always had some form of it. And so I feel like whenever I first started this a few days ago, I was super hyper focused on it, and I was back to that chokehold of, this is how it's got to be done. I've got to do this. I've got to make it work. Not to mention my competitiveness, and I want to learn something. I want to get it done now. But it's also made sense now to me that chokehold just doesn't work. That having a chokehold on anything, trying to figure something out, trying to start something new, you put so much pressure on yourself, and you just don't even allow the flow to happen. You don't allow any enjoyment, honestly. It's always a search for trying to figure out how to get her done. And so I even dressed in a dress, a skirt today, and I went to the grocery store again, and I wore these fancy shoes that I had to walk slow in. And, so I was doing little baby steps, and to an extent, I feel pretty good. I didn't shower after the gym, so that's kind of gross, but I had plenty of spray, and I feel as though taking the baby steps and actually enjoying the process is going to be more superficial, is going to be more beneficial for me moving forward. I'm not going to allow myself to just hit this on a surface level. I am visualizing where I want to be, and where I want to be has to do with being more relaxed and comfortable and not chasing money. And talking about that, I had another one of those nights where I woke up, it was around 4 this morning, and I could not go back to sleep. I woke up and I was awake, and it wasn't like a couple nights ago where I woke up at 2 and I was just in all this worry and doubt and kind of weird vibe. I did wake up to a weird dream that would not be appropriate to talk about. But I've also realized that as the day has gone on, because of course I went back to sleep and woke up and felt off, because even though it's a Saturday today as I record, there was things that I wanted to get done, and I like to be up early anymore. So there was that little bit of discomfort of not getting into my routine that I wanted to, but it hasn't been as heavy today as it was the other day, like with the doubts and the worries. The one thing that I keep having come up, that I'm catching myself as it comes up, which I'm very grateful for being aware of, is the fact of chasing money, of just racking my brain on how to do a side gig, what kind of side gig, how I could bring in more money right this instant. What is it that I could start? When the whole issue with myself in these last couple years of all these different things that I've tried is never following through. And while there's no guarantee to anything, I feel really good about sharing with you my story. And I know that as I move forward, I will have great ideas come to me. I will have better awareness and organization and connections between myself and you, and have an idea as to something more that I can make out of this. Or if nothing else, what could just come out of it? I mean, there's so many different scenarios and possibilities that could occur with just sticking to the plan of one thing instead of ping-ponging around to all kinds of different things. So with that, I've caught myself, and that's, as it's been a little weird, but not as weird as the other day, I've been catching myself in this repetitive pattern that I've had previously in my life of always chasing, always searching and feeling out different things that maybe I want to do, maybe I don't. And I've really been bringing it back into my body, getting out of my head, getting out of the could be's and, well, they say that this works, so I should try this, and coming back to what it is that I actually want to do. And you know what I want to do? I want to cook today. And so I went to the grocery store, and I'm going to do a recipe that I found at 4:00 this morning. Something that has carrots in it and supposedly balances out your hormones and your nervous system. So, I mean, benefits in having fun, benefits in getting to do something new, benefits in the health department. So, it's Saturday. Maybe I'm not being the most productive today, but in hindsight, you don't have to always be productive. And where I'm at financially is I'm A-okay. Like, that is the other thing that I have to remind myself. Even back in the day, in that pattern that I would viciously be trying to search how to make more and more money, I always had money because everything that I went after needed money to get it going. And I'm in that same position now. I have money. It's not like I don't have money coming in. It's like this weird program within myself that's that chase. It's got to be the lack. I mean, lack mentality is that you don't have enough. But in reality, we always have enough. As long as you're working towards something, you can't just sit on your ass all day and expect shit to just fall from the sky. But then again, some people that works for it too. For me, I'm going to enjoy myself. I'm going to enjoy the rest of the day and try out a couple new recipes. So if that's not feminine energy, then I don't know what is. But I'll tell you what, as long as I'm having fun, that is my top priority. Whether or not it's masculine or it's feminine energy or it's getting something done and being productive, I'm just stoked to be where I'm at. And I hope that you're stoked to be here too.